Hello, I wanted to do a very brief Nexus 6P versus Galaxy Note 5 comparison and first impressions. I recently got my Nexus 6P in gold thanks to the deal that was going on. I've been wanting to try it out and pop my Verizon SIM in there. And I've had the Galaxy Note 5, as you can see here, from the scuffs for quite a long time. This phone has actually lasted me longer than just about any other phone I've had in the past couple of years. So I wanted to just kind of dive right in this. I've been using this as my daily driver. I have them both set up the exact same with Nova Launcher. As you can see, they have the exact same screen size. In fact, we're told they're the exact same panel from Samsung, both the same generation, according to Huawei and Google. But I gotta say, the Samsung is tuned, in my opinion, more nicely. It's brighter overall, and it has that daylight mode when you go right outside where it's super, super bright and crisp. Color accuracy seems to be a little bit better, and it's a little bit less yellowy. This seems to be a little bit more yellowy. That could just be a color temperature preference, but overall I think this is a higher quality panel, or at least it's better tuned for the Samsung device specifically. This comes with Marshmallow, which is the latest version of Android, and updates are obviously very quick. I mean, the biggest advantage for the Nexus line is you're always going to get the latest updates from Google right away as they come out. You're not going to have to wait for the carrier and for a bunch of other considerations. And I gotta say, this device is extremely snappy. I mean, it's totally encrypted. But despite that, it's very, very snappy. I have seen little to no difference loading applications between the two devices. This runs the Qualcomm Snapdragon 810, which has supposedly some overheating issues, but they've done a really good job, at least in subsequent updates that I've seen, of addressing that. The advantage that the Galaxy Note 5 has is that it basically has all of the things, right? So it's got, it's seriously a much, much better camera. I was very disappointed with this. Things are very soft and grainy, and the lack of optical image stabilization is really unfortunate. I've kind of gotten used to it a little bit. I really do like how quickly the camera app loads, but the camera app is not as good as the Samsung camera app in terms of features. And also just how quickly you can snap a photo and how clear that photo appears. I mean, the Note 5, in my opinion, has the best camera of any mobile device right now. That includes the iPhone 6s Plus, which also has optical image stabilization, which I've spent some time with as well. I will say, for value, this is just an incredible value. I really enjoy using it. I don't like as much that the fingerprint scanner's on the back, but it is a very fast fingerprint scanner. Battery life is also really solid on this one. It's got a huge, around 3,500 milliamp battery, bigger than the Note 5. Samsung Pay I like. I've actually used it because you can use it where there are places with no NFC. It just spoofs a credit card. That's kind of nice. Android Pay is basically the same thing as Apple Pay, and Google Wallet was before, which is also great. What else can I say about these two devices? Little thinner. As you can see, the frame around the screen is a little bit smaller on the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. I really like the way the back is curved on this. It makes it easier to handle in the hand than this guy, even though they sport the same size screen. This has an extra gig of RAM. It's got the S Pen, which I never end up using. I like the double tap the home button to launch the camera. That's really quick for me. It's easier than double tap the system button here. But again, this is a newer version of Android. There's more system-wide support for using the fingerprint scanner than on Lollipop on the Samsung device. It's, you know, the Samsung has a lot of bloat. Sometimes that causes things to happen more slowly and is a little bit more buggy. So if you just want pure Android and you want a great value in a phone, you can't go wrong with the Nexus 6P. It is a very nice design as well. Of course, I encase it so that I don't scratch it. But for my money, the Samsung is faster. The processor is basically a generation ahead of what the Snapdragon has. It's a 14 nanometer process that works correctly versus a 20 nanometer process. Even the 4 gigabytes of RAM are a faster version of RAM than what's on the Huawei. So corners were cut all over the place with this, but you still come out with a really stellar product, thanks mostly to the software. But also it's a really nice hardware design. And for the money, I mean, the Galaxy Note 5 in the US costs practically twice as much. I mean, the Nexus 6P is great, and it's going to receive updates directly from Google first. You can pop any SIM from any carrier into it, which I love. It's not loaded down with a bunch of bloat that I have to skin away, which I did successfully. I mean, I loaded the Google keyboard. It works fairly well. Sometimes there is a little bit of a lag. There is none that I've seen so far. on the Nexus 6P with some of the non-Samsung proprietary things. I mean, you also give up the Gear VR experience. I'm one of those guys that actually bought that and use it from time to time. It's kind of cool, but Google Cardboard is not that much worse, and it works obviously on the Nexus 6P. The USB Type-C charging port is a disappointment. It's unfortunate that that was included. That basically means you can't use, there's no backwards compatibility with existing micro USB ports. It doesn't charge as quickly as the Samsung, and there's also no wireless charging. But despite all I've just said, I'm not down on this phone at all. I actually think it's amazing what they packed into here, and it's more future-proof in a lot of ways than the Samsung. You just miss some of the extra bells and whistles, which you may or may not want. Anyway, so that's my initial impressions. I'm going to continue to use this guy as my daily driver and do a review of it here coming up soon. But you can't go wrong with either, and this is by far the better value, and you get the latest version of the software that's pure and very, very smooth. And a little more bug-free than this, but you miss out on a lot of the premium features and the great camera and the slightly better screen and overall much better performance on the Note 5. So there you go.